Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So there's a message coming through really strongly. I'm gonna have to say it because I can't pass it by. There's this feeling of like a change coming in really swiftly, and this need to kind of like redirect and kind of like take the lead in that situation. It's almost like it's like an unavoidable message or something. I didn't plan to start the reading talking about this, but as soon as I press record, it's like talk about the change. Okay, there's a big change coming in your cards. I am going to talk about that when we get to the cards, but I need to talk about the other messages first. So Aquarius, I'm reading for Aquarius energy for November. So you can watch this if you're an Aquarius sun sign. You can watch this for Aquarius placements. If you are interested in Aquarius energy for whatever reason, this reading might be for you. It is for the whole month of November. I don't have control of the messages. Whatever comes through is what comes through. They could be talking about one thing that happens in November. They could be talking about something that's happening for the whole of November. They could be talking about a TV show that you watch. Talking about that, I had a small break from doing readings because I got a bit frustrated and annoyed. Sometimes I channel TV shows. So I channeled the whole of the House of Usher. It was coming through in my cards, especially off camera. Just everything about it was in the cards, and that can be really scary. So what I think happens for anyone who's new or anyone who doesn't understand how my channeling works, I channel collective energy. So even though you're an Aquarius watching this, I'm channeling general Aquarius energy, not your personal reading. So this is what Aquarius energy is up to for everybody. That's the idea. So don't take anything 100% exactly literally. You'll know if my guides want to speak to you directly, you'll know it. They'll make it very clear. I don't know what I'm channeling or who I'm channeling for or how it's going to apply. I'm like the owl in Harry Potter, right? I just deliver the message. So I channel collective energy, and sometimes what happens is if a lot of people are watching a certain TV show or, for example, worrying about something on the news, if there's something that a lot of people are thinking about or feeling, it'll come through in my readings when I'm channeling. So if a lot of people suddenly all watch the same TV show, it comes through in my readings. This happens to me all the time. I will go and watch a movie that's like new out, and say it's been out for a week or two, loads of other people have been watching it. It's like it's like I've seen the movie already, even though there's no way I could have possibly seen it. It's that sort of thing. So it happened again where in Sagittarius's reading, and I think I was even saying this, I think I was even saying in their reading that I have this habit of channeling TV shows. I don't know, maybe like my spirit guys are like, hey Sagittarius, you're gonna have a really boring month, but you're gonna watch this really awesome TV show, that sort of thing. So we want to talk about that and I think as well the idea of like things can make a big impact on us, especially I think I'm talking about collective energy a lot in your reading because you're Aquarius and you think about the greater good of all. You think about social problems, especially like social injustice. You have this like injustice card here. So like if something's not fair to a group, Aquarius is not happy. Aquarius kind of very like Libra, right? They kind of want everybody to be happy and in balance and things to be fair. But yeah, Aquarius is the big social justice warrior of the zodiac. Yeah, I think this could be a collective reading. But I think sometimes, art reflects life. TV shows reflect themes and ideas and problems that society is kind of like wrestling with. So, for example, I just watched two things on Netflix about Big Pharma and the opioid crisis because, it's a big topic. A lot of people have been affected by this. A lot of people are quite angry about what happened around that. So, therefore, they're making TV shows about it because people will engage with it. So, it's this kind of like round and round. Like, we feed into the narrative as much as we receive the narrative and vice versa. Like it's a kind of like a perpetual cycle of movie and TV executives going, hey, what's going to sell? What are people interested in right now? Right, let's make more of that. And then the audience receiving it, which means that they make more of those TV shows. Do you see what I mean with how collective consciousness molds and shapes reality? But it's like it's making the art but also receiving the art and being affected by the art. It's like we then, if we watch a TV show, it gets in our head and then we start thinking about it. So I don't know why I'm talking about this at length. It will be something that you encounter in some sort of way in November. Even if you're thinking, what is she talking about? There will be a reason for it. There always is. So again, in Sagittarius's reading, there was two specific things. I remember talking about locked in syndrome specifically. Now, I've had this thing about kind of paralysis. For one sign, I think it was maybe Gemini, it came through like sleep paralysis demons. I think kind of like Aries had this thing about, you know, like if someone kind of like spikes your drink, sometimes it can put you into a paralysis state. So this idea of kind of like paralysis has been coming up. Even, I think it was Santaro in one of her extended readings, I've bought two this week, was talking about paralysis. So it's this topic that keeps on coming up through like the psychics, right? It's in popular culture, and it was a topic that was in Fall of the House of Usher. So I thought, okay, that's it. But it came up again in Sagittarius's reading, and it came through as locked in syndrome, which is a medical problem where people can't move the body, but they're completely conscious. It's like something wrong with like the connections in the brains, you know, that tell a body to move. And so I knew someone who had this, and for some reason it came up in the reading, and I remember specifically saying locked in. And then I remember the cards sort of indicating to me, because again, they communicate how they can communicate. I don't have a card with a specific name on, but they knew if they showed me a certain combination of cards, I would say the name. So they sort of led me to talk about this character that used to come up in my readings a lot, and I named her Catherine because she kind of had that kind of Wuthering Heights ghosty, Heathcliff, it's me, it's Kathy. So this kind of angry, vengeful ghost, kind of like this lost, wandering soul energy about her. And so this character that used to come up in my readings all the time, I named her Catherine. And so they were showing me Catherine. So I had locked in syndrome and Catherine. And so completely had no idea about this. I think it was like the next day I went onto Netflix and I was like, hey, I just want to watch something. So I'd done the reading, right? And I was talking about these things, and I brought it up and I saw this new TV show called Locked In. And I thought that's so funny because I remember saying the words locked in Sagittarius's reading, and I clicked on it, and the main character was called Catherine, spelt the way that I would spell it as well, with a K. And I broke down. I broke down because I channeled it, right? And this happens to me all the time in a million little tiny ways. But sometimes it hits me, and sometimes it, you know, it gets too much. And so, yeah, and so I just needed a little break from that. So just as an example, I 100% can channel. I don't know what I'm channeling or why I'm channeling it. Maybe Sagittarius was watching that TV show. I don't know. I didn't watch it. My friend said she didn't really like it very much. Yeah, it's not recommended to me. I haven't watched it myself. But again, I wanted to tell you that story because it could be applicable to you in some sort of way. Maybe because of something I'm talking about. Maybe I'm literally just talking about a TV show that I have no idea about, but you've been watching. Okay, the first thing that came through for you, Aquarius, was the song. I think it's called something like No Choirs by Florence and the Machine. All the songs will be in the description box down below. And it's this beautiful song, and it came with it this feeling for me of Aquarius in November. There's something that you're keeping quiet. It's kind of like you don't need to publicize this. So it could be a new relationship. It could be somebody who, you know, that you're feeling a lot of affection for. It could even be friendship, children. It could just be you living your life, right? And having a really nice time and having those really nice kind of like 10 of Cups, Lover's card, 2 of Cups, kind of happy days, you know, something, it just feels really comfortable, really happy, but really chill, right? And it's kind of like, I don't need to put this on social media. I don't need to advertise this. Nobody needs to know about it. But it's also coming through this idea of kind of like, I'm just hearing, sometimes I hear things, and I just heard keeping yourself to yourself. That's another thing I wanted to talk about as well. It came up again is Gemini's reading, the idea of kind of maybe like even schizophrenia, right? Where you hear things and you see things. So I do hear things and I do see things, guys. My messages come through in a lot of different ways, but it's not something that I don't have control over, right? It's kind of like always there, but like a radio in a background, and I just half the time I'm not paying attention, and it's only when I sit down and kind of meditate or I'm falling asleep when they kind of come to the forefront and kind of make themselves known a bit more. So I do have a new guide as well who's kind of like they've got quite a unique way of communicating with me, and they, instead of, because I can hear words, sometimes I hear full on sentences like, what did I just say I heard then? But this one, and sometimes I see images, so I can see like an image pop up in front of my face, like in my mind's eye. It's not kind of in this reality. It's not like a hologram or an illusion kind of thing, or it's like a projector inside my mind. So it's kind of like almost like a dream image, right? It's kind of like, you know, it'll be shown to me. And so the way this new guide communicates is they show me words. So it's almost like looking at a newspaper article and just being able to read the headline, right? I can't see anything else. It's like I only see what they want me to see. Or, you know, a page of a book, but I'm only seeing what they want to say. So it's almost like they're telling me words. They're telling me like sentences or phrases, but through images. So it's sort of like, you know, if they want to say tea or soup, it'll be like this, and I'll be able to read tea or soup. It's really curious. It's really interesting. But everything that I've been seeing has been predictive, right? And there's no way I could predict what it's saying. It's like it'll say something and then that'll happen. So I'll see knock at door, and then there'll be a knock at the door, which, you know, if I wasn't expecting anyone, how would I know there was about to be a knock at the door? So again, it's definitely predictive. It's really interesting. Again, side note there. Sorry to segue quite a bit. I think air signs tend to do this to me quite a bit. Yeah, so again, this idea of kind of like, it's okay not to be, I don't know, some of you are struggling maybe with your social media profile. Maybe you're getting a bit sick of social media, or maybe you've just not had the growth that you wanted. Something like that. It's not going to be for everybody. But it's this idea of like, and it could even be work, right? Not being recognized for the work you've been doing. So whatever's going on for you, Aquarius, it's like you're Kenough, right? So if you watch the Barbie and Ken movie, it's like you're Kenough. You're Aquanough. It's okay just to be you. It's okay to be content and happy with what you're doing, right? You don't need the fanfare. You don't need the Six of Wands card from the tarot. You don't need, you know, the victory parade. You don't need the likes. You don't need the views, right? So it's this idea of kind of like, it's okay to be forgotten. It's kind of something like, enjoying the moment, especially with a certain someone or with a certain group of people, right? Having a really nice time. Maybe it's like going out for a meal with your parents, and it's like, it's okay not to take pictures of it. It's okay, even if you forget it, as long as you enjoyed the moment, as long as you had good vibes. So for some of you, it could even be that you're dealing with an older person who has something like Alzheimer's. And so it could be this idea of, is it even worth taking them out for a meal? Is it even worth, you know, going out and having a chat with them in the park if they're not going to remember it? And it's like, yes, because there's value in there's value in the moment, right? There's value in, I don't know, having the sunlight touch your face, or having the walk, or, you know, being in conversation with someone. It's like, it's okay. It's enough just to enjoy the moment. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, memorialized in stone, or, you know, written about, or, you know, it doesn't have to be this big famous thing. It's okay if it happens, I don't know, secretly or privately, or, you know, if even you don't remember that it happened, something like that. Then when I was in meditation, I got a kind of a similar message, which is funny because you actually do have the cave here, because I was kind of thinking, is this something for Capricorn? Because I was between Capricorn's reading and I hadn't done your reading, and Capricorn get the cave analogy all the time. So I was kind of half thinking, is this a Capricorn thing? But I think it is for you. And I was in this, I mean, it could have been a cave, it could have just been a room, but I was in an enclosed space, and it was pitch black. And in the middle of the room, excuse me, there was a lantern with a candle in it. And so I knew this because I was in the process, I was in the act of lighting the candle, right, inside this lantern. And the lantern was very pretty and delicate looking. It was gold, golden glass, and just very, very beautiful. And there was something about the lantern and the candle and the process in general. The feeling of it was very, very gentle and loving and warm and illuminating. So in this dark room, this candle being lit, and it kind of, you know, taken a couple of tries with the match, and then it sparks, and it just had this like really warm glow to it, and it's like the warm glow from the candle, and it was only a tiny little candle, kind of spread throughout the whole room. It kind of warmed up the entire space, it kind of lit up the entire space, and kind of changed it as well, from being something that was dark and not being able to see, to something that's illuminated with a really soft, warm, gentle glow. It was really quite a beautiful vision that I had. And then with you having the cave here is something similar. So for some of you, I had this idea that perhaps if you have anxiety, or I think glossophobia came through for, I don't know if it's Capricorn. I remember the idea of glossophobia coming up at some point this week, which is fear of public speaking, or fear of even like agoraphobia, right? Fear of being in busy spaces with lots of people. Maybe having a fear of the limelight, having a fear of the spotlight shining on you, kind of, and the attention being on you. Maybe you're happier living in the shadows. I did have this feeling of kind of like hiding in the shadows of the cave, but it not being like a creepy thing hiding in the shadows, which is funny because you've got the word hidden twice. I'm going to come back to that, but you've got the word hidden twice. So it's kind of like wanting to hide in the shadows because that's where it feels safe, right? It's like if you've got the limelight on you, sometimes it can come with a lot of unwanted attention, like people can be jealous, people can be petty, people can be catty. This happened actually just to a very lovely acquaintance this week, where they kind of came under attack, and they're such a beautiful, lovely person. Like one of the last people in the world that should be warrants criticism. I mean, everybody warrants a little bit of criticism. No one's exempt. But there's so many horrible people in the world, and I think, why are people so vehement against somebody who's doing so much good? It's I think sometimes our fury and our anger are misdirected. So again, maybe not wanting to put yourself out there and kind of make yourself a target just by being visible. It could even be that sort of thing. So the idea of kind of like being okay with being in the background, or being okay with being hidden, which kind of like this card's kind of talking to me about now, because I do see this as an Aquarius card, lightning. There's something about it being quite starman, right? If some of you know my starman, it's like I'm okay with not fully being seen. Can you see it's like this guy? Can you see his head there, his shoulders? It's like I'm okay blending in with the background, sort of thing. Okay, we'll come back to that when we get to the reading. There's definitely something coming through with the idea of kind of like social media, or like an online presence, because you also had a song called What a Shame. I think it's by Leyla Blue. I'll double check, it will be in the description box down below. But basically it's a girl, and she's talking about a guy who's kind of missed an opportunity with her, and she's saying, what a shame. It's kind of, and she's sort of saying, oh, you're going out with all these girls who all look the same when you could have been with the real deal, kind of thing is what she's saying. And she's kind of making fun of them. She's going, take my picture, they're kind of cute. So she's sort of talking about how social media makes everybody very samey, right? They promote a certain ideal of beauty, and everybody kind of gets Botox injections, fillers, to all kind of match that kind of beauty ideal that is always changing. So it's like perfection's a lie, right? Nobody's ever going to be, I think there's something about kind of confidence and being content with your looks from within. I think there's a lot to say about that, where people who've grown up with social media, so for example Gen Z, it's all about, like, all they've ever known is like likes and views, right? And if you look, I think, at like how beauty standards have changed throughout history, look at Marilyn Monroe, for example. She wouldn't necessarily have done very well if she looked the way she did now. It wouldn't be she wouldn't be considered like this amazing beauty. I think a lot of Marilyn Monroe's beauty came from her charisma. She had a lot of riz, guys. But Kate Moss as well, you know, if you look at Kate Moss, who was considered, you know, so beautiful back in the day, back in the 90s, I still think she is incredibly beautiful. And then you look at someone who perhaps is considered a little bit more of a current beauty standard, like Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner. Um, you know, the ideal of beauty changes, and I think it changes when it becomes achieved by the many, because I think the idea of beauty being a commodity, maybe you need to go and check out Libra's reading, they had something about this. The idea of beauty being a commodity that's sellable, right? The makeup industry, the beauty industry, modeling industry, fashion industry, even like movies, TV shows, pop stars, you know, like the idea of being marketable. And so you get something that is achieved by the 1%, right? You get a kind of beauty that not many people look like, and you market it because you want people to buy all the products and get all the treatments to look like that 1%. And then everybody does, and that 1% becomes the 90% or whatever. You know, most of the people you see on social media now have got lip fillers, you know, they've modified their faces, like, or they're using filters to look like someone like Kim Kardashian or Kendall Jenner, sorry. Where I think that's actually starting to fall now. I think we're starting to see a big shift, a big change. I think we're going to see a change towards natural beauty. And the reason is because a lot of these influencers, you know, a lot of like Molly May, you know, a lot of these young girls, especially, and it happens to the guys as well. You know, guys are also getting Botox and fillers and all this kind of stuff as well. Because of the pressure, right? Because you don't get the likes and the views unless you fit that mold. I think we're seeing a shift now where, because these, beautiful young girls. Look at Tana Mojo. Like before she had all the work done, I thought she was so gorgeous, and now she kind of just looks like all the other girls, you know. And I still love her. I think she's great, but you know, to me, it's like what a shame, because anyway, it's not for me to judge other girls' beauty, right? Girls are allowed to do whatever they want to do to the faces, you know, and if they think they look beautiful, then that's great. But I do think a lot of confidence comes from within. So this idea of kind of like, I don't know, maybe somebody needs to hear this. Maybe someone's, you know, comparing themselves to other people online, thinking, oh, maybe if I got a boob job, I'd get more views. Maybe if I got my lips done, I'd get more views. Maybe somebody needs to hear this. Somebody who I really, really recommend, if this is you and you're kind of having this confidence crisis, is Stephanie Lang. She's on YouTube, Stephanie Lang, and she does a lot of videos about the beauty industry and kind of like the problems with it. I think sometimes I don't always 100% agree with her, but sometimes her videos are very refreshing and you need to hear it. And so, yeah, what I think is happening is a lot of the girls kind of have had all these treatments and tweakments and things done to the face and fillers, and they've distorted the faces, and then it doesn't age well. This is the thing. You know, people who have a lot of beauty treatment in the face, it doesn't age well. And then you get people like, I don't know, Michael Jackson or Madonna, or, you know, there's so many examples. Even that, like, again, Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, I think they're starting to look a bit odd. You know, it's gone from a beautiful enhancement to a fake face that doesn't have display proper emotions. It doesn't move right. It's strange. It's like prosthetics or something. It looks odd. And I especially think this is a shame with, like, I don't know why I'm on a rant again. It's coming through, so whatever. Like, I do think it's odd that actresses, especially actors and actresses, they get all this work done, and then they're acting, but it's so wooden, and you can't convey true kind of emotions, or, you know, react properly with your features if you've had all this work done, because your face literally doesn't move properly. And so I think there's something about this. I think we're going to see a big shift. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because Aquarius is all about change and innovation. Aquarius is the big shift coming in. Especially, some of you know, I talk about it all the time, because Pluto has kind of done its work in Capricorn, and it's now moving into Aquarius for the next foreseeable future, right? It's like several years in Aquarius. We're going to see big changes in Aquarius. So we're going to see big changes to social systems. We're going to see big changes to technology. We seem to be seeing big changes in, because Aquarius challenges the status quo. A Capricorn reinforces the status quo. Capricorn's kind of like does it by the book because it works, right? It's like tried and tested. That's the Capricorn method. The Aquarius method is let's try something new. Let's innovate. Let's see if we can get this working better. Like, how do we know if we don't try it? So it's a much more adaptive change maker. And because the beauty industry is this stranglehold, right? It is this status quo. I think this is where we're going to see big changes. And so I think we're going to see more respect for natural aging. I think, you know, we're going to see aging as something beautiful and natural because I think it's become it'll be the new hot commodity, right? So beautiful older women, for example, like, you know, who haven't had a lot of work done. I can't think of examples because like everyone in Hollywood has had work done now. But, you know, you sometimes see older women, and I'm noticing them as well, and they're so beautiful. Like my nana was gorgeous. Like she had the riz, right? I keep on watching these. I've signed up, I'm following this kind of like 50s daily TikTok channel now, where it shows like 50s actresses, and it was a lot rarer for them to have work done in those days. I think they still did, but it wasn't to the extent that it is now. And you know, and thinking about like how, you know, they had the charm, they had the riz, they had the charisma, and thinking like my nana was working it, you know. So the idea of kind of like personality, maybe, you know, rather than just being somebody who looks good for one photo, you know, in the right lighting, because they've got, you know, spent 3 hours in the makeup chair, you know, somebody who's kind of a natural in the moment. Think about like the 90s. Do you remember the 90s with like Polaroids, where you'd have the pictures where it's kind of like, you know, someone just turns back and looks back at the right moment with a big smile on the face, and like they're not perfect, you know, like indie girls, but they're gorgeous. You know, I think we're going to see more of a trend for that kind of beauty in the moment. I think is going to be big over the next several years, so watch out for that. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame when people mess up the faces, because spend millions on it as well, spend so much money on it, and then they're not happy with the result, because I think it's like a plaster on the wound, right? If you're not happy with who you are, if you're not content to look in the mirror and think, hey, you've got it going on today, girl, you know. And that's not to say I disagree with cosmetic procedures as a whole. You know, they were designed in the first place to correct genuine mistakes, you know, not genuine mistakes. You know, for example, if somebody has had an accident and they've broke the nose and they want to get corrective surgery on the nose, absolutely, I understand that. You know, if somebody has, you know, sometimes you can get different size boobs and it's kind of like, you know, really difficult to buy bras. So if you want to get that corrected, I understand that, right? But the idea of kind of like taking a beautiful 18-year-old girl and saying, hey, your nose isn't trendy right now, let's change your nose to this type of nose, and then when that trend changes, we'll change your nose back, you know, when there was nothing wrong with their nose in the first place. I just think it's very unhealthy. Okay, that's my rant over. Normally these rants come through for Cancer, so I wonder why they're coming through for you at the moment. Some of you could be dating, some of you could be, and again, it's not specific to one gender. You know, I know this is a problem for guys as well, where you're on social media, you're looking at all these kind of like beach hunks, like these Kens on the beach with the chiseled jaws, and you're going, I don't look like that, right? And it's, you know, and then it's like, maybe I'll get a little bit of filler, you know, maybe I'll get a stronger jaw with a bit of filler. You know, it's a slippery slope. I don't like it. And then why do you want to go out with somebody who looks exactly the same as everybody else? It's so boring. Anyway, so yeah, some of you could be dating, some of you could be like, is it called catfishing, where someone looks a certain way and then you go and meet them and they look completely different because the photos that you've seen online are all like, you know, filtered, full makeup, you know, not realistic pictures. I feel like, again, sometimes I channel and my thoughts just kind of wander. I had this whole thing about, you know, maybe we need like a training pack for especially for like young guys in the dating world who are so used to seeing these like curated images of women and saying like, this isn't what women look like, you're gonna be disappointed, guys. Like, and like maybe on dating profiles you need kind of like, here's me looking my best at some posh do when I had like really good makeup, I had my hair professionally done, it had like, really good lighting, I used filters, like here's my best picture, here's my worst picture, here's my good angle, here's my bad angle, here's me in good lighting, here's me in bad lighting, here's me. These are pores, like, and this is the thing, for like, we all need to realize, and it isn't just a guy thing, right? Or we all need to realize that we're not meant to have glass skin. We're meant to have pores. We're meant to have texture. Otherwise, our skin would die. It would literally die and kind of like rot away. Like, we're meant to have pores, or we'd overheat and die. We're meant to have pores. Pores are a good thing. They're not a design flaw. They're a design feature, right? Okay, so gonna move on from that. You also got Sweet Child of Mine. So going back to those of you who are kind of like just, wanting to, it's something to do with why would I chase likes? Why would I care about how many likes this have? Why would I care about how many views this has? When I look at social media and I see who has, who is getting a lot of likes and who is getting a lot of views, and thinking, and criticizing the judgment around that. So it's almost like looking at what's popular and saying people are stupid for buying into this. Why? And if people are stupid for liking that, why would I want these stupid people to like what I'm doing? Because I don't. It's a bit egotistic. It's a bit super ego Aquarius. I'm not gonna lie, but it is. It's kind of like, well, if I don't think they have the right opinion, why do I care what they think of me? This is what I tell my kids as well at school, like, especially when they were younger, with like, sometimes school, like, you can get bullies. I would say there was one lad especially that was kind of picking on my daughter, like, back in the day. And I said, well, why do you care what he thinks? And they were like, I don't know. And I said, well, do they have good opinions? Like, do you agree with their opinions? Do you think that they're, a good judge of character? Do you think, and I was kind of like, well, if you don't rate their opinions, if you think they're a stupid person with stupid ideas, why do you care what they think of you? Because their opinion doesn't matter. And it's that sort of thing, right? It's like maybe, um, maybe you could be getting, maybe it's that case. Maybe it's like, well, I'm happy with the content I'm putting out there. And again, it doesn't have to be social media. It could be the work that you're doing, right? So it could be like, maybe you run your own business and you're a very small business and you're like, but I'm doing it properly, right? I'm doing it with the right values. I'm not trying to scam anyone. I'm not trying to, I think there's as well, like, like TikTok shop and things like that. There's a lot of people selling stuff and kind of making it sound really good when it's not really that good. So it's that kind of thing. It's like, well, I know I've made a quality product here. I know that it's worth the money. I know that it does good when people buy it. They give me really good feedback. So yes, it's a small business. Yes, it's not really taking off, but I'm happy with it. And it's kind of like this knowledge of, do you know what? I could market it the way popular things are marketed. I could, do the whole bells and whistles thing. But I feel like I'd be almost like sacrificing a piece of my integrity or a piece of my soul in order to do it that way. It's like I could do it the same way as everybody else because that's the popular way, but it's not the right way. So again, it's got this idea of kind of, I don't know, it's like something for just you, or something for the special few, or something for your loved ones. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's not popular. What matters is, I guess, if it's authentic and you're pleased with it, right? It's meaningful to you. So again, if this is sort of like content creation or something, and you're only getting a small response, it's kind of like, but maybe it's like, the names of all your subscribers, or you're on a first name basis with your customers, and so it's like the personal touch is almost it's like that's more meaningful than 100,000 strangers who perhaps could even be like fair weather followers. They could turn on a dime. Yeah, Sweet Child of Mine. So again, this it's gorgeous because it's kind of like, you know, she's got eyes of the bluest skies as if they thought of rain. I'd hate to look into those eyes and see an ounce of pain. Her hair, this bit as well, her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I'd hide and wait for the thunder and the rain, right, lightning, and the cave as well, this idea of perfection, I almost said. Perfection, the idea of perfection. I mean, perfection is just an ideal, right? It is just an idea. Normally it's a marketable commodity. It doesn't actually have a lot of worth when you attain it, I don't think. So maybe that idea of kind of like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but worth is in you've got this thing about the right use of power, right? It's kind of like those who have power don't always know what to do with it, or those who have power don't always use it correctly. So let's change power to influence, or I heard influence points, that's a Sims thing. Turn it into influence, or the idea of commodity, right? And things that are marketable and things that are, you know, the algorithms like. You know, the people who have it don't always deserve it. Look at how many influencers, or politicians, or, oh, look at this, look and right timing. Heart, home, compassion, exactly. That card is the energy. That's like the visual of the energy that I'm feeling for you. Possibility for union. And magic as well. Okay, you've got this feeling of, so like right place, right time. But it feels like really hidden because you've got like cave there. Sorry, I'm just trying to live read what I'm getting. Okay. Yeah. So it feels a bit like Netflix and chill with a special someone, but you know, nobody else needs to know about it. Okay, let's move over to my cards. So over here, you've got a lot of cards indicating potential. There's something new. This could be a new opportunity. You've got the apple, the egg, the seed. Yeah, so all these kind of are talk about almost like Ace of Pentacles, right? So think about a seed, right? A seed grows into something that could be really big because you've got the seed in the mountain, right? So it's like planting a seed and growing a mountain. One of my notes is grow your own mountain. Grow your own mountain. But that idea as well about like, okay, so it's kind of like that one post that goes viral or something like that, or a seed of an idea to start a business that is, you know, turns into an empire. It's like the beginning of something really big, the seed that grows into a mountain. But also the idea of like mountains symbolizing obstacles and problems. So it's kind of like the more power you have, the more, because again, it looks like something's about to take off for you. The more power and influence you have, the more popularity you have, the more problems that it's like more money, more problems, right? I think somebody else had that. And then the apple as well. Right, hang on. Let's go to the egg. The egg is really similar, right? It's like something's about to hatch, but it's, see, you have this egg here on the cave card. Okay, there's something about the mountain and it's coming through, and I was already getting Minecraft for you a little bit. I don't know, the computer game Minecraft, take it or leave it. But the idea of like the mountain and the caves, right? The caves inside the mountain. So maybe you can navigate problems by taking hidden routes. It's a little bit like, you know, the celebrity going out the backstage, right? Or, you know, the celebrities leaving the hotel. So they send out a body double kind of thing out the front to draw the paparazzi that way, and then they sneak out the back way, right? They sneak out like the servant, like we have servants. They sneak, I'm thinking about like kings and queens as well, like you know, they'd have like the secret tunnels and the secret passages. Think about like House of the Dragon, right, where they sneak out of the night and they kind of like sneak down the little passageways, right? They sneak past the guards. So it's looking to me a little bit like that, right? It's kind of like the idea of like grow your own mountain. So something that's really big and successful for you, but you still have kind of your safe spaces within. Oh, so, you know, I was talking about kind of like agoraphobia, glossophobia, the idea of kind of like your public self. It's like the importance of having private spaces as well. So, you know, keeping your own home private, right? You don't let the cameras in. You don't post photos inside your own house, that sort of thing. It's like no cameras inside the house. Or, even like a space within you. So, you know, like a mind palace. So, say you're in a massive crowd and you start to have anxiety, it's kind of like you can meditate, you can just take a second to visualize, you know, your cave, right? Your safe space, your maybe your room inside the palace, right? And kind of going back to that space mentally in order to kind of like feel safe when you don't feel safe externally. Something like that, like an internal safe space. But you see, it's like the egg is here. So it's the idea of something. And again, it could be some kind of project. It could be some kind of, um, it feels like there's something new, right? That is, it has a lot of potential. So you're keeping it secret, you're keeping it hidden because like it needs time to, you know, like how the chicken inside the egg, it needs time to kind of grow to the right size in order to hatch. Something like that. The apple as well, like the apple grows into the oak tree, right? So it came out like this: apple, team soup, and the oak tree in reverse. It's kind of like a tree growing inside. You know how like all the trees are growing externally here? It's like the trees growing inside the cave. So I want to say it's something you're working on, but you're keeping it hidden. So again, it could even be something like say if you were a writer, you know, sort of like Tolkien, they have this whole world inside them, right? It's inside their own imagination. It comes from within and then it becomes external, right? They publish it and other people read it. So it's like this whole world, but it's inside you. It's like, again, talking about Sims, I made a world once for The Sims 3. It's like a whole world that like my characters could inhabit and live in. So like the idea of world creation, like you have the sees the potential to change your own reality or to manifest something really big. It's like maybe you're waiting for the right time, but I don't know. Tea and soup. Okay, so tea and soup, it can be like spill the tea, but for me personally in my own deck, it talks about kind of like grandma's chicken soup, right? It's like tea and soup both have this quality of like being able to like customize the ingredients to heal you, right? For what you need. So for example, I drink a lot of like Twinings tea, and I have like sleep tea and I have focus tea. I've actually got two sleep teas. They do something different because they have certain ingredients that give you certain you know, whether it's certain vitamins or minerals that help to regulate sleep or help to calm anxiety or help to focus the mind, right? It's like they give you the the nutrients that you need. And the same with soup, right? So, for example, if you get poorly, you know, chicken soup's a really good cure. Or, you know, having a lot of garlic and onion in soup is an immunity booster. And having a lot of fruit and veg in the soup is like gives you the vitamin C. So the idea of like health, and nutrients and kind of like what's feeding you. I'm a bit worried that the oak trees come out in reverse. I'm not sure if it's meant to be in the reverse, but for some reason I kept it. So ideally it'd be like this, right? And these two cards work so beautifully together because the oak tree can talk about your own body, right? And it talks to me about growing really strong and sturdy, but also the idea of kind of like you know, the branches being symbolic of you reaching your full potential or reaching into the future, and your roots talking about kind of like where you've come from and kind of what's nurtured you. So the oak tree in the upright and the tea and the soup in the upright would talk about growing really strong because you've had the nutrients and the minerals that you needed while you were growing. But in the reverse, I mean, the tea and the soup is in the upright, so there's nothing wrong with the tea and the soup, and yet the oak tree hasn't grown to its full potential. So again, maybe it's this idea of kind of like stunted growth, because maybe the tree has been growing inside a room. So again, going back to Minecraft, so something that people sometimes do in Minecraft, don't worry guys, if you're like, I'm not into computer games, why is she talking about Minecraft? Just take the analogy, right? Take the metaphor. So the idea perhaps of sometimes what people do if they're playing Minecraft, because the overworld, okay, you've got Wombles. Where's it gone? Overground, underground, Wombling free, Wimbledon Common. So maybe Wimbledon Common something. It's the Wombles. It's an old TV show from the UK. The Wombles, they live underground. They come out, they sort out the trash, and they go back underground. Something like that. I don't really remember it very well, but they had the theme tune: underground, overground, Wombling free. The Wombles of Wimbledon Common are we, making good use of the things that we find. Da, 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 da. I can't remember anymore. So yeah, underground, overground, and then like the cave. So it's something like, it's like the world within. Um, so yeah, there's this mod for Minecraft called Twilight Forest. So it's like a third party add-on basically, and it expands the gameplay experience, and you go into this different realm. But a feature of that different world, that different Minecraft world that you can visit, is they do have these big mountains that are full of like extra ore and diamonds and things that you can go and mine, but they're full of creepy crawlies and scary things as well. So they're like they are these kind of like, again, I mentioned Tolkien, right? So and like, is there like Journey to the Center of the Earth as well? You know, that other TV show, that other book, sorry. Um, So, you know, like the idea of kind of like things living in the earth, and I'm not trying to scare anyone. Again, it's probably just something that's going to come up as a theme for you in November. You know, again, you could watch a TV show, maybe a movie's coming out that I don't know about that's got this theme. But yeah, just the word closet is tied on there, which again, I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, like maybe it's kind of like, it's like opening a door. It's like Narnia or something. That came through for Capricorn because they have this card. You've also got this card, the Dragon's Lair in the Deep Freeze, right? It looks like Aslan to me, right? So the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with the closet and Twilight Forest, like you have to go through a portal to get into this other realm. So it's something like that. It's something like you know, opening your wardrobe and you've got Narnia inside it, right? It's like an enclosed space, but it's this whole world inside this enclosed space. God, this is a confusing reading, guys. Stick with me. Again, even this card right now to me is looking like this is looking to me now like drilling down, right? Spiral. It's like you can spiral down like a drill, like into the earth. So it's like you can spiral down into the earth, but you can also go upwards. So this card was coming out for me. Again, I'm a Libra. Libra had some really similar messages. So Libra's reading was like spinning round and round and round. It's like being on a carousel ride, but not knowing where to get off, right? It's like feeling like your compass is spinning. Like, which direction do I take? And I've really felt like this week as well. I was like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And kind of like second guessing myself, like analysis paralysis, and kind of like sort of spinning in place, right? Burning a lot of energy, but not getting anywhere. Sort of like tires spinning. And it had this thing about you spinning so fast that you become, you know, like the sky dancers, like you'd go up in the air and then you'd be able to get like the bigger picture. That absolutely happened for me this week. So again, you could have something similar. It could be an air sign thing where it's kind of like the change is speeding up, right? It's like this thing is spinning faster and faster because like you've got like change and speed and the compass. So really, really similar to what I was seeing for Libra. It's like the change is coming in faster and faster and faster, right? There's this idea of it speeding up. So it's like this is going faster. So it's like you can go down, right? So this could be talking about spiraling, right? It could all get too much. You could kind of like, they're giving me Jamiroquai. So Jamiroquai is, I'm going deeper underground. There's too much panic in this town. I'm going deeper underground. I'm just going to make a note of it. There's too much panic in this town. So again, this idea of kind of like the collective panic, right? The collective panic and everybody kind of spiraling. But you can also go up, right? It's like you can also, it's like reverse it and go up. I don't understand that fully, but hopefully it'll make sense to somebody. It's like hopefully the message gets to whoever needs to get it, right? Okay. So what else as well? I've got patterns. Being able to see your own patterns is really important. This came through as an important message for November. You know, especially when you start to spiral, right? When you start to spiral and you feel like you need to go back into your, I was going to say cage, back into your cave, you know, back to your safe spaces, when you want to shut the curtains and not be seen. Kind of like, what's causing that? Is this a pattern for you? Have you done this before? What did you do to get out of it before? Like, so look for the patterns. Again, really came up for me this month. And it's like, then I got the answer, right? Then I knew what I had to do. Something about a spanner in the works and redirection, which again I'm going to talk about when we come to your reading. Could be something about violets specifically. So either the flavor, and I know it sounds weird that violets are a flavor, but like they are. They have this kind of perfumey flavor. You can eat violets. They're an edible flower. You've got Violets for Roses by Lana Del Rey as well, but it's violets specifically are coming through really strong. So it could be the color violet as well, the smell violet. Maybe someone has like a perfume. But roses as well. Roses are another edible flower. And again, you have got teal soup. So maybe the idea of kind of like taking flowers and making soup from them. Obviously, be really careful with that. Do your research. Be very careful. You don't want to have something that's not good for you. What else as well? So from my own deck, originally, when I was kind of preparing for the reading, 2 cards came out, and it was the Star, which is your card, right? You are the star in the tarot, and it had the snake in front of it. So if it was the other way around, I'd be worried, because the star with the snake behind it would be something that looks really good on the surface. Maybe somebody who is a celebrity, but behind closed doors, they're a snake. For you, it was almost the opposite way around. So it had this feeling of like the star within, right? The star within, or the something within that's really healing. But then on the surface, it's got this kind of like peeling feeling to it. It's kind of like you have to peel back the layers to find the star. And as well, like, you know how snakes kind of, they shed the skin when they're growing, right? So it's a transformative process, but also the idea of a snake being very, very vulnerable when its skin first peels. So I thought maybe somebody's having a face peel. Maybe somebody is a bit of a star, but they're having a face peel. So it's like they have to hide, you know, while they have that peeling process. You know, they don't want to be seen while their face is healing from the skin peel, because it goes all crusty, right? Which was also making me think of it's like a trending prank that girls are doing on the boyfriends, where they're it's like they're putting on like a face mask, or even like PVA glue or something, and then like peeling it off, and then doing a TikTok video with like the partner in the background and being like, okay girls, it's time for my monthly peel. You can see that it's all coming off in one really nice go. So it's like they're doing a beauty tutorial, but about something. It's like a period thing, or, you know, like an ovulation thing, and they're like, okay, so like it normally rubs off in the night or in the shower, but for some reason this time it's coming off in big massive flakes. And it's like the boyfriends are kind of like freaking out. They're like, what are you saying? What are you doing? What is this? And they're like, it's my, like, all girls do it. It's just a month, like, it's like a monthly thing. I think a lot of it is set up. I don't think it's genuine reactions, but it's a thing. I don't know. So yeah, all these girls like, I'm shedding. Yeah, and then we talked about celebs looking really weird at the moment, so that's all kind of done. Oh, the song This Little Light of Mine as well. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And I was also thinking about with the lantern, you know, in Peter Pan when Tinkerbell gets put inside the lantern. So it's coming through something about like, it's almost coming through. Again, this is a different way it's coming through, so it's going to be different for everybody. But I was almost getting this idea of like, so think of like a crystal ball. You know how you can look into a crystal ball, or like a mirror, and you can scry and you can see images within that reflective surface. Or the idea of, so something like that, but also something like, you know, those old, it's like a really old moving picture device, and it spins, right? And you look through the gap and you can see the picture kind of almost like a flick book, but it's a spinning thing. And you can see you look through it and you can see the picture on the inside. And I don't know if they have a mirror inside. So I'm getting this thing about, it's like glass and mirrors and light. So it's almost like the lantern has, say you had a lantern and it had like a candle inside, a light inside, but you had kind of like glass panels and mirrored panels, and you could spin them, and then you'd look at the candle and you'd be able to see. It's almost like seeing something in the mirrors when you spin this thing, is the way it's coming through. So a bit like a crystal ball, or a bit like one of those spinning things. But it's like, imagine Tinkerbell's inside the lantern, but you can't always see her, right? It's kind of like something to do with reality. Say, for example, like two realities, like two planes of existence. But if you spin it fast enough, you'll be able to catch a glimpse of Tinkerbell in the mirror. Okay, so this is coming through a little bit strange now, especially because you have this, sorry, there's a hair on there. Especially because you have this figure, right, on the lightning card. It's like it wants to be, it doesn't want to be seen, right? It wants to be hidden in the shadows. I want to say, does it want to be hidden? I don't know. With the moon card as well, because the moon can talk about money, Mr. Magpie. Sorry, it's a magpie. I have to salute it. Yeah, it's kind of like the moon can talk about, it's funny, I was talking about menstrual cycles, right? But it's also talking about, right, the moon, right? Oh, this is perfect. Sorry, I'm getting this live. So I didn't get this at the start. I'm getting this now. So you know how like the moon's always there, right? The moon is always there, but we can only see it at certain times of the month because of the way the way it moves in the sky and the way the sun moves and the earth gets in between it. So sometimes it has the full light on it and sometimes it's completely invisible, right? But it's always there. So like with this card, it's talking about, maybe it's not a specific personal presence, but the idea of like it's always there, but we can only see it when the light's right. And it's this thing about the cycle or the changing light. Okay, now this is interesting. This is we're going to go a bit spooky now, Aquarius, but the message is for whoever it's for. So there's an app that you can use called Ghost app, and I don't know how legitimate it is. I'm not kind of saying this is 100% valid, but the concept of it is that like spirits or entities can kind of manipulate the frequency or the wavelengths. I think it's like magnets or something, to generate words, right? So you can use this app to talk to spirits. That's the party trick, right? That's the headline. Again, I don't know how legitimate it is, whether, you know, it's got 500 words, which is quite a limited amount of words. So imagine you had a limited vocabulary to 500 words and you're trying to explain something like how ghosts work. You know, it's going to be difficult. So I don't know. I'm not legitimizing it. I'm not delegitimizing it. I'm saying it's a thing. And I got the urge to kind of like run it while I was doing your reading, and I got a lot of words. So the first word that came through was when I was getting the Minecraft Twilight Forest thing, again, the idea of like the cave inside the mountain, which came through with closet, right? Which again, Lion Witch in the wardrobe type energy. But my phone with the app running is right next to my wardrobe, so that was kind of interesting. And then some other words I got the name Bruce, so if that's anything to anyone. I got Bruce, what should I do? And I was like, I don't know, do what you want to do. What do you want to do? I'm like, I'm not the boss of you, right? Spirits, do what you want. And then she said, she told me, he, she, they, it. What should I do? She told me. So that made me think of like, you know, when, say it's like a kid and a parent or something, or, you know, a relationship with someone where the other person always makes the decisions. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know what to do when that person's not here to tell me what to do. Or even like in a workplace, say you have a very, very controlling boss, right? Somebody who's like a really hands-on boss, who gives you your orders and you just do what you're told to do that day. So you go and see them in the morning. They say, here's your job list for the day. Go and get it done. And you're like, okay, I'll go and get my jobs list done. I've done my jobs. This is a good day, well done, pat on the back. But it's like your boss is off and you're like, what do I do? Like, and it's like, well, what do you want to do? What do you need to do? And it's like, well, I don't know, because this person always told me what to do. So it gave me that kind of feeling. So again, that could be a message for somebody, especially because you've got leadership here, change in leadership, a change in leadership. So you could be going from having a very controlling boss to a very kind of like, I don't know, creative freedom, what do you want to do kind of boss. Then I had hidden stop, right? The two words hidden and stop. And then hidden I got again when the cave came out. So it's almost like we want to be hidden, we don't want to be seen. And so I was asking questions because I was like, well, I don't want to do anything that I shouldn't do kind of thing. So I was trying to understand it better. And then I got blacksmith. So again, blacksmith could be relevant to somebody. It does make me think of kind of like, you know, like like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, they go kind of like mining, or like Hephaestus, you know, in Greek mythology, the idea of Hephaestus being, he gets thrown from Mount Olympus, doesn't he? That hurts his leg. He becomes, I think the word they use is lame. I don't know if that's a politically correct term, but that's the term I hear with Hephaestus quite often. And then it feels like an old-fashioned word to me, which is why I'm hesitant to use it. And then I think he works inside a mountain. I actually kind of want to Google that. Let's fact check. Is it Mount? Hang on. It's not Mount Vesuvius. It's not Mount Vesuvius. That doesn't feel right to me. Hephaestus Mountain. There we go. Mount Etna, I think. Oh, he rules volcanoes. See, they give me stuff and I doubt it, and then it makes sense. What mountain is Hephaestus in? He's in Mount Olympus. No, that's not right. Maybe it's Mount Etna. It's not very clear. It says he ran a massive workshop on Mount Olympus. But I feel like he was inside a mountain. He landed on Lemnos. I don't know. Let's just say he was inside a volcano. Okay. Don't know why that's relevant, but it's coming through. Take it as it resonates. Again, it might not mean anything right now, but you could get midway through November and your friend could be like, hey, I'm taking up metalworking. I'm a blacksmith and my name's Bruce. So I don't know. Like, you never know how it's going to play out, but it always plays out. I mean, for me personally, I think, why am I talking about this? This doesn't make any sense. And then I go and turn on Netflix and it's a whole TV show and I'm like, well, great. To me, it frustrates me when that happens because I'm like, well, what is the point in doing this? You know, it takes up a lot of my time. It can be a little bit distressing sometimes to give people messages that are distressing messages, and then it's like it turns out to be a TV show, and I'm like, well, do you know that people were going to watch the TV show whether I did the reading or not? Like, why? What it gives me this kind of like, what's the point, right? What is the point of doing this if they're just going to give me TV shows? So, I mean, I don't do it for likes. I don't do it for views. But if you want me to carry on doing these readings, and if they make sense to you, and if they play out for you, and if they're relevant, if you could let me know, because when I hit those kind of like, what's the point? It gets really difficult to kind of keep doing it, and I question whether I want to keep doing it. But I also am like, well, what's the point in being able to predict stuff if I don't do something with it, you know? So I don't know. It makes me spiral. Some of the other things I heard were I can't leave, which made me sad. I was like, babes, you can do whatever you want. Like, and then I was kind of like, why can't you leave? And then I got the name Alexander. And then I got hidden again. And again, it was roughly when the cave came out. And then it said, can you repeat? And it was like it was asking me, can you repeat something? Because I was explaining to it, like, talking to my phone, right? I was saying, oh, I'm doing this because... I was like, I'm doing this because I'm giving messages for the Aquarius reading. Are there any messages that you want me to... put out there? And then it said, can you repeat? So I thought, oh, right, okay, well, it wants me to repeat the messages. And then it went, not likely. And I was like, oh, right, okay. A bit salty there. I was trying to do you a favor, spirits, but, you're just mocking me. But again, it could be something to do with like, I'm unlikely to repeat the message accurately. Maybe I don't understand what they're saying to me, something like that. Or maybe it's kind of like a day to say this on the internet, which sometimes I have to take readings down. Sometimes I'm not happy with what comes out because I think this is going to get me in trouble. And I don't, right? There's a difference between my own personal thoughts and feelings and what I think and what I would be happy saying on the internet and kind of what my spirit guides are like, hey, Aquarius needs to hear this, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think that reflects well on me. So maybe that happened with the Taurus reading. I was like, I think I need to take it down. Okay. A change is coming, Aquarius. A change is nigh. I feel like a change is upon us. I feel like I want to get you a song. Let's get you a song for this before we start. A brief word from my sponsor, Spotify. I wish Spotify sponsored me. That'd be nice. I wish anyone sponsored me. Okay. So currently playing is a Rita Ora song. Rita Ora, what is her star sign? I looked it up the other day and I can't remember. I think she's Sagittarius. I was looking up at her Taiki Waikiki. I Only Want You is the song, live from Spotify. Okay. Tell me about the change. So you're talking about change for Aquarius. Explain this change. 2 weeks. Oh, Aquarius, maybe this change is coming in 2 weeks. Or maybe it will happen within the space of 2 weeks. FKA Twigs, she is a Capricorn, I believe. Um, I know it hurts. You know I'd quench that thirst. I can treat you better than her. You say you're lonely. I say you'll think about it. 'Cause you're the only one who resonates. That chase, mouth open like high. Higher than an MF. Dreaming of you as my lover. Flying like a streamer. Maybe somebody is a streamer. Thinking of new ways to do each other. Pull out the incisor. Ooh, give me 2 weeks. You won't recognize her. Mouth open, you're high. I know it hurts. You know I'd put you first. I can F you better than her. You say you want me. I say you'll live without it. Unless you're the only one who instigates. I mean, she's very sexy. She's very sexy, very hardcore. Typical Capricorn, right? Feel your body closing. I can rip it open. Gross. Suck me up. I'm healing for the something you're dealing. Smoke on your skin to get those pretty eyes rolling. My thighs are apart from when you're ready to breathe in. Okay. I mean, it's a very sexy song, Aquarius. I love FK Twigs. Like, she's like her whole artistic vibe. I think she's amazing. I watched the oh god, what show was it now? I want to say it was Versace, but I'm not 100% sure. She's been doing a lot of stuff in the fashion world. And so she did this whole performance and they had like the catwalk models walking around her. She wasn't singing, she was like, she's an interpretive dancer, very talented, and she had this whole interpretive dance going thing. And I wasn't even paying attention to the models, I was just watching what the dancers were doing. Okay, so change is coming. There's this idea of like having to rebalance, right? It's kind of like being pushed off balance and having to kind of get your really equilibrium again when this change comes in. Seagulls to me talk about sort of like maybe boys, it doesn't have to be boys, but it talks to me about kind of like lads weekend, right? So like the lads weekend, they're going out, they're having some fun together, causing a bit of mischief, bit of mayhem, you know, not really caring about like the mess they're making or the people that they're hurting. They're just out, you know, kind of like young adolescent male behavior. And it doesn't have to be adolescence as well. Like you can get like 40-year-olds, 50-year-old men who get together in a group and they act like this. It's kind of like, I'm hearing knob jockeys. Jockeys, I don't know. That's funny. So it's kind of like, maybe it's like somebody going to like the horse racing or something like that. So yeah, like, or riding a lot of knobs, I don't know. I don't know. But it's kind of like, you know, the flapping around and causing it to fall off balance. So it's kind of like it's kind of like, maybe it's like unwanted male attention, unwanted immature male attention. The idea of kind of like a fuss or like being created around you as you're trying to get back on your feet. It's making me think of, right, so a really specific example, and to me it was funny and it wasn't harmful, but I was walking home from a tutorial through the city and I had a cup of coffee in my hand and I was walking quite happily, and I think I was listening to my music and I was like, I had my coffee and I was vibing, and I tripped. I tripped and I didn't fall on the ground, but I kind of like stumbled and kind of like managed to keep hold of my coffee and like regain my composure. And there was a car next to me. I think they were like parked at some traffic lights, like right next to me on my side of the road, like a meter away from me, which I didn't even notice until this moment. And it was a car full of lads and they absolutely cracked up laughing, like roaring hysterically at me and going like at me, like pointing and laughing at me as I just kind of like stumbled and kind of like managed to keep hold of my coffee. I'm proud of myself for keeping hold of my coffee. So I was laughing at myself because I wasn't hurt. It was funny. And this group of lads just absolutely like ribbing me, right? It was kind of like good natured, like it wasn't harmful. It's just they reacted like they'd seen me do it on a TikTok video, right? They kind of like were laughing. And they didn't really, I was fine because I'm quite a confident person, and I was kind of like, I think I kept like kind of like curtsied and kept on going. But you know, to someone who perhaps was very shy, or to somebody who perhaps would be a little bit more scared in that situation of that kind of attention, you know, could find that really distressing, the way that they reacted. You know, it could be quite scary. So again, it's the idea of kind of like, it could even be kids, you know, like maybe you're a parent, you're trying to get back on your feet in some kind of situation, but like, you know, your teenage son's around, he's got all his mates around, they're all being really loud, and you're just like, I just need to get on top of this problem. Or like even kind of like in the workplace, so maybe you're just trying to, it's like it's because like the change has thrown you off balance is the way it's coming through. So it's like you're trying to regain your balance and your composure, but you feel very like, you know, it's not happening privately, it's happening with this, maybe it's like a group of apprentices, like, or just, it just feels like, having a very ungraceful moment and it being witnessed by, people who are kind of like making a joke about it is the way it's coming through. But then this is coming through, and like I say, speed is next to this. So it does feel like, it's like very fast movement, but almost like this idea of kind of like, as soon as you let go. Okay, so it's something like, okay, the fact that the world is turning, because look at these 3 cards all in a row. They all have like the earth on, right? So, well, 2 of them have an egg, which you had in your cards from my deck. And then you could see each one as being like the earth, right? The ground beneath your feet kind of thing. And then like the planet. So it's something to do like, even if you stand completely still, you're still moving throughout time and space, right? You're still, like, the earth is still turning, the planet is still moving. So the concept of anything being still is untrue, because if you could be truly still for a moment, it's kind of like you'd be on the other side of the earth, or you'd be kind of like lost in space. You wouldn't be where you are now, because where you are now is constantly like a flick book, right? Again, that idea of kind of like, they're showing it me again. I don't know what they're called. It's kind of like a, let me just Google it. Hang on, guys. I'm going to pause and Google it. Oh my God. Actually, do you know what? It is 11:11. Let me just get rid of that notification. It's, as I'm Googling it, it's 11:11, and that's FKA Twigs, if anyone's kind of wondering about her. That's mad. I didn't know it was 11:11. It literally turned in front of my eyes from 11:10 to 11:11 as I unlocked my phone. I'm Googling it on camera now. So what is it? What am I saying? Old moving picture machine spins. Zoetrope? Yeah, that looks like it. A zoetrope, it looks like. Yeah, one of these things. Let me just pull up the picture. This is Wikipedia I'm on right now. So there you go, a zoetrope. Do you know, like, you look through it? They're dead easy to make. Like, your kid might make it in primary school or something, again, just to kind of show you the time. Yeah, and you spin it. So it's kind of like, and the way it works, right, is because it's almost like a flick book, or like, like movies, right? Movies, it's like frame by frame. So it's something to do with, like, it feels like the movement is actually to your advantage in some sort of way, I want to say. And you may not see it that way, but movement gets rid of stagnancy, doesn't it? So it's almost like, people who thrive when they're under pressure. And it's like being under pressure is actually really uncomfortable, and really, it's like it's a place that you want to get out of. So maybe like you work harder because you want to get out of that place or something like that. It's something like, because can you see it here? She's like, her feet are only just touching it. It's kind of making me think of like, why does it feel like Libra's reading? Because Libra, again, had the sky dancers, right? It's like the faster you spin, eventually you're going to take off. So it's like a similar thing. It's like being on a roundabout, right? It's like the momentum of the roundabout, like sometimes it can glue you into place, but sometimes it can like fling you off, right? It's like the momentum flings you off. So it's similar. It's like the movement is trying to get you unstuck, or the movement is trying to unground you for a reason, right? So it's kind of like, as soon as she kind of like lets go, it's like she's gonna fly, something like that. Or it's like, it's almost like stepping stones as well to me. It's like, she's, oh, maybe it is, maybe it's like, okay, do you ever do it at swimming? I love doing this when I go to the swimming baths. You see Olympic swimmers do it, and I'm not a good swimmer by any means, but I love doing this specific thing. So you swim to the end, like as you get to the end of the pool, you go underwater and you do a little somersault and you kick off from the wall and you go whoosh in the other direction. So that's what it is. It's like you're about to kick off in a new direction, right? It's like coming up to a dead end or coming up to a wall, and like doing a quick 180 and going whoosh in the other direction, like fast. So like unexpected change, but maybe it's intentional movement towards, what does this say, protection and cave. So yeah, it's looking to me like stepping stones, right? It's like kicking off. Maybe you are kicking off, right? Kicking off, I don't know if this is a term that people use globally, but where I'm from, in the north of England, if you're kicking off, you're causing a fuss, you're having a bit of a fight or an argument, right? It's like, I'm going to kick off with you in a minute if you keep going. So it's like, you know, you're kicking off from one situation and landing in a safer place. You know, even this to me is looking like stepping stones now, or like planet hopping. Maybe this is like workplace. Maybe it's that kind of thing where you know you have to leave a workplace, but you know that you have to just go. So it's sort of like, say you've got to do 2 weeks notice. It's like you book your holidays, right? And then it's like, I know that on that last day before that 2 weeks holiday, I hand my notice in and I just go, right at the end of the day. It's kind of like notice, door, like never to be seen again kind of thing. It's almost like that. It's kind of like, you know, say it's like a really toxic workplace and you hand your notice in and you've got to work that 2 weeks. It's like it's going to be a really uncomfortable environment in that 2 weeks. So it's almost like preparing for it. It's like boom, go, right? Now underneath change and thunder moon, it's funny, you've got thunder and lightning, thunderbolts and lightning. You've got this mystical shaman. And he's like projecting onto it, right? He's projecting the bird. Hey, what's this? And galactic mushroom, the divine matrix. So it's like this, again, it's like almost like the crystal ball, right? So there's this one who is, it's feels like they're doing something from a distance. So they're like astrally projecting, or like they're sending, it's like they're sending messages to you to get you ruffled. So it could be the sort of thing about, again, maybe if you are online, right, and you're posting something online, maybe you've got like a hater, but they've got like 10 accounts, right? So it's kind of like they've got this mob feeling. So they're not there physically with you. It's like a projection, right? Because they're not stood next to you. They're sending you messages. So it could be something like that. But it's almost got this idea of like, what's with all the electricity? Maybe it is online, right? I mean, electricity I associate with Aquarius energy. So it's like the Aquarius is astrally projecting to you to make you uncomfortable. And it doesn't have to be the Aquarius, it's just take it as it resonates. It's like, right, this energy, the Starman energy, right, is they're projecting to you. They're hidden. It's like you can't see the face. They're projecting to you, sending you messages or causing a fuss around you. Maybe you just feel them energetically and it throws you off balance. But it's like, even if this person's doing something with bad intentions, it's almost like the universe sees the bigger picture, right? They have a plan. So it's like, it doesn't really matter who this person is or why they're doing it. I almost want to go like that, right? It's like, it doesn't actually matter where the messages are coming from or who's sending them, because behind that, on the, you know, if you could trace it back even further, it's like the universe is sending it. So it's like, even if that person's acting badly, it's like the universe is allowing it to happen because they need you to change. They need you to move, right? The universe demands that the world keeps spinning and that you leap into this different space. So the funny thing here as well is, like, after the mystical shaman who's down, okay, it almost feels like a bad boss, or like, I don't know. Let me get a song on it. Okay. Tell me, I want to listen to FKA Twigs though. Tell me about this one, please. Il primo volo, the first jump. Wait, that's the first, that translates to the first jump, right? So it's Marta sui to be. Il primo volo, the first jump is the hardest. Il primo volo. Let me just, my Italian's bad, guys. Marta, there it is. Let me just Google Translate it, which again, is Google Translate any better than me? My translation, I don't know. Il primo, so the last line is, I'm sorry about my pronunciation as well. Il primo volo è il salto più bastardo, sorry guys, ma si deve fare. The first flight is the biggest leap, but it has to be done. The first flight serves to learn how not to fall badly. Oh my God. Okay, let me read some of these lyrics. That's crazy. That I was talking about you having to take this big leap, and it's like scary, but it has to be done. No more mistakes for gifts, just fogging your hands. Just pretend to fall on your feet like cats. Pretend to fall on your feet like cats. You know, it's like I fell, but I didn't fall. There are those who say a life is a journey and that it's not there waiting for you. I've dropped out already. Names, spaces, mirrors, apologies, insults, and now it's not my fault anymore. If I caress you, you fly away. If I leave you, you come back here. I'm fine as I am. You do not have to worry. I will entrust fate to whoever first lowers his gaze, and I'm sure it won't be me. If I come closer, you fly away. If I leave, you come back here. Satellites and planets, that they touch each other while escaping, yes. Give me a beak, give me wings. It's literally got a fucking beak. You have the keys to tomorrow. Tell me about a dawn that undresses and is never the same. There are those who say life is a journey towards destinations to discover. In the midst of imaginary roads that you will have to invent yourself. The first flight serves to learn how not to fall badly. The first flight is the biggest leap, and yet it has to be done. Okay, I don't know if that's an accurate translation. You can go and look up the lyrics yourself. If you do speak Italian, then, you know, obviously go and read it in its original language. Movement and change. You literally have change. It's the first card and the fourth card. Like, look at this. With the dragonfly. I saw dragonflies. When did I see dragonflies? I don't make a note of everything that I see when I'm channeling, because it happens kind of constantly. Like I said, sometimes it's like a radio being on in the background. And so I can see something and not consciously kind of like make a note of it. But I did see dragonflies. And then with the dragonfly and change, movement, speed, change, compass, right? It's this redirection, or like a change in, and it's got a frog on it, right? He's on Libra. I don't know if that's significant. But like I say, you leap to protection and the cave and leadership. Okay, so this whole section to me is looking like a change in leadership, right? And maybe you taking the lead in, I don't know if you heard that, that's my tummy. I need to eat more. Stag spirit. So it's like a change in leadership, and it could be very sudden, and it could be even like, you know, maybe like work is moving location, or like, I don't know. It feels like a big sudden change. Maybe again, it's like the space of 2 weeks, and, you know, the leadership changes, leadership positions come up. Everybody feels like they're flapping as well. Like, again, this seagull energy could just be people panicking around you, right? People flapping, kind of being like, what do we do? What do we do? This change is coming. How do we handle this? What do we do? Again, you had that thing about, like, it was in my notes, wasn't it? What should I do? She told me. It's like, it's like people need direction, right? People need a leader. So something suddenly happens to the leader. Was I talking about, I feel like maybe it was Capricorn's reading, maybe Sagittarius. I remember talking about Tanaquil and how the king dies. The king dies in Tanaquil's story. She's she's a kingmaker from mythic Rome, right? Ancient Rome, before it was an empire, before it was a republic, when Rome still had kings, right? Mythic kings. Tanaquil was a kingmaker, and she got 2 kings into power. So her husband, who was the one that died, he was the king that died, and her adoptive son, who was a slave boy, when the first king died, And it's like, well, he was attacked and everybody knew he'd been attacked and the kingdom was panicking. She shut the doors to the kind of like the castle kind of thing, not a castle, but whatever it was that they kind of lived in, and kind of like kept the public out. And she did a big speech because like the public were outside going, what's happening, what's happening, what's happened to the king, right? And so it's kind of like this moment of panic because, you know, who's going to be the next king, and like the possibility as well for a vie for power. So okay, they're telling me about a specific person. I don't think I want to say who it is. A leader of a country. So okay, that's got his. I feel sick now. Hang on, guys. Let me get out of that. So it's kind of like in the last set of readings, I feel like I was getting that Coldplay song a lot, where it's like, "The king is dead, long live the king," right? And so it wasn't Prince Charles, by the way, because it came out in another reading. I was like, are they talking about Prince Charles? And I don't think it was, sorry, King Charles. I don't think it was England and King Charles, right? Different country. So it was like, and it doesn't have to be a king either, right? It can be a politician, right? It can be a leader of a country. It doesn't have to be a king. So it's this idea of, because it was like semi-diplomatic. It wasn't, in the olden days of Rome, it wasn't an inherited title. It wasn't like father to son. The new king had to be voted in. So it was still quite democratic, actually, even though they called it a king. But anyway, so the king was attacked. He was on his deathbed, and he actually died. But Tanaquil kept this back from the public, and she just said, he is hurt. He's in bed. He's doing well. He's healing. Like, his doctor's attending to him. Nobody panic. What we're going to do is we're going to have Servius Tullius, who was the adoptive son's name. He's going to kind of like he's going to be in consultation, like King Regent, right? He's going to be in consultation with the king, and he's going to kind of you know, carry out his orders. He's gonna kind of hold down the fort for a while, was kind of like what she said. But it was a big lie. The king had died, right? And what she was doing very cleverly, right, very, very smartly, and actually in, like, if you read I think it was Livy's description of this, she's absolutely doing it in line with the gods, right? What the gods want, because she can interpret signs and things like this. So there's some doubt as well. You can read into things, but she basically very savvy, very, very clever lady. She recognized that if the news got out that the king was dead, right, there'd be this big vying for power. You know, it could potentially even be like civil war. And not only that, she was you know, her castle, her household would be under threat if there was this sudden vying for power. So to keep the peace and keep the stability, she invented this transition period, which, yes, was in favor of her adoptive son, who was, like I say, he was a slave boy originally. But he was a really good king as well. So, Servius Tullius, if you read Livy's description, was a really, really good king. He was probably one of the best in the mythic kings. So it's like he was the right person to get into power, kind of thing, according to this story. So Tanaquil did this really clever thing where she said, the king's fine. Servius Tullius is going to hold down the fort until, you know, I'll let you know if things change. So once Servius, she gave it a little bit of time. Servius Tullius was running things really well. He was popular. Like, he was basically in the position of king at this point. And then she went, oh, the old king's dead. Sadly, he passed away. But everybody was like, Servius Tullius has been doing it. He's doing a good job. Let's just let him carry on doing it. Sort of makes me think of like the Conservative Party, how they keep pulling this trick where, you know, they'll have an election and then something will happen where, like, the old prime minister is no longer in power, and they'll go, okay, well the Conservative Party will vote in a new prime minister. It's like, it's not a public vote. And then they're like, oh, but we need to give him time to find his feet for a while. So we're going to delay the general election and give him a chance. And they've done it twice while they've been in power, right? Delayed the general election for this reason, because they want to give the new prime minister that they voted in time to settle in. How democratic is that, guys? I don't know. Let's leave that story for another day. But anyway, so, you know, okay, let's move on to a different subject. Yeah, so it has that kind of feeling. It kind of has the feeling of like, okay, oh my God, the unexpected happens. And I want to say it is the unexpected, right? It's like something people didn't see coming. It's a shock. like 2 weeks notice kind of thing. Oh my God, like what do we do? And then it's kind of like someone has to step up and take the lead, right? Someone has to fill those shoes and say, right, guys, this is what we do. And it seems like the right person at this time is this wild woman, right? It's like, it's kind of like right person, right time, because, if things were stable, you might not want the woman running things, because the wild woman, she's like Queen of Fire kind of thing. She's wonderful. She's actually a great leader, very charismatic, probably great at giving like speeches, gets everybody fired up, gets everybody all moving in the same direction, a lot of creative ideas. Maybe she's not always the best person to be in power, but right in this moment, when this change happens, she's the perfect person. It's almost like chaos is a ladder, or like the reason why I think she's so good right now, like why she's the right person to lead in this moment, kind of like a Boudica, right, is because with the moon, it's like she is changeable. It's like she can, it's like she carries the same energy. Again, it's like the sort of person that thrives in chaos, right? It's like they come to life when the situation, when everybody else is panicking, this person steps up, kind of because they're really quick at kind of like spinning on a dime, or because they're really because they're very creative, right? Because they think out of the box, because they are changeable. It's like they're good with change. It's kind of like they thrive in change. It's really Cancerian energy as well. I don't know if it's like a fire sign or a Cancerian placement, but it has that feeling of kind of like they thrive in the drama. And then I'm just going to skip over that for a second. And then it goes to like all this fiery energy, right? Injustice and fury. So again, very similar to like Boudica or Boadicea. I prefer Boadicea, but I guess Boudica, if it's, I don't know, words. So yeah, let's say Boudica. So, she had an injustice done to her. And she not only stood up for herself against the Roman invaders, right? But this is the narrative. I can question this narrative. I can put a different spin on this, but the spin that I'm doing in this reading is, right, a change was done by whoever's in power. It wasn't fair. The old king is dead. We need someone to step into power. And it's this wild, angry woman who's the right person at the right time to lead us, right? It's like her fire, her anger about some injustice is the fire that is needed in this situation, right? It's like, this will get us through. So it's making me think as well about, when Trump and Hillary Clinton were kind of vying for power, there was a lot of really derogatory images about comparing Hillary Clinton to Medusa. And Medusa had injustice done to her. Let's read the Medusa card. She's actually a really... Again, I think everything has a time and a place, right? Anything can be good or bad, but it depends on the situation. So a Medusa in a certain situation could be the absolute perfect thing. Imagine if you were back in the Greek times, right, and an army was invading. And this is the thing as well, Perseus has Medusa's head, well, I think it's Perseus, and it all kicks off, and he's able to kind of like, use Medusa's head to turn his enemies to stone. So imagine you were like, had this whole invading army, but you had Medusa on your side, not just her head, but Medusa on your side, and you could have Medusa at the front of your army, right, with again, I think about mirrors, right? Because, he can only look at her in a mirror, right? If he looked at her directly, he'd turn to stone. But you can use the reflective surface to see her, which is what I was talking about before. It's like you can't look directly at it. So maybe it's got this kind of like corner of your eye thing. It's like you can't look directly at it. It's sort of like people say about God, right? Or the gods. It's like if a god manifested in its full form in front of you, it'd be too overwhelming, right? You wouldn't be able to handle it. So something like that. It's like you can only catch glimpses of it because you've got hidden twice. You know, they came through the ghost tube voice box thing. It's like you've got the word hidden twice. And again, the idea of like underground or something that's hidden, something that's not seen. Right, let's read Medusa. You must fight against injustice. To say nothing in the face of inequality or injustice only increases the imbalance. It's making me think of Cancer's reading a lot. They have this whole thing about like harpies. You have the right to defend yourself. Truth isn't always easy or evident. Look deeper. Sometimes the mirror lies. A half truth is still a lie. That's what I was saying about the mirror, right? And filters and things like that. Like images lie. Many people only know the half story of the woman with the serpents for hair. They know the hero Perseus has come to slay her as part of his quest. They know the goddess of... Sorry, I was just checking, I was still recording, sorry guys. They know the goddess of wisdom, Athena, is aiding him by providing a mirrored shield that assists him in avoiding Medusa's cursed stare. For to gaze at her directly means certain death with a body turned to stone. People see the monster Medusa, this horrendous, horrible creature, her hair hissing with spite, and see too the brave and sturdy hero coming to end her, and they assume that yes, he is righteous, yet that is but half of the story. According to the ancient poet Ovid is... I love Ovid, one of my favourite authors. Ovid and Shakespeare. If you say, what's your favourite author? Ovid and Shakespeare to me. But... he perhaps is not the most factually accurate source. He is, however, and this is why I love him, because he questions everything, because he knows there's not just two sides to every story, but multiple angles at looking at things. And as soon as you think, if you read Ovid's Metamorphoses, right? Ovid's Metamorphoses is a book about constant change, constant transformation, constant change. So it's like they're giving me, that's just so, my guys are so funny sometimes. They're giving me that Katy Perry song. I don't know what band she sings it with, but it's like, I set them up to knock them down. I set them up to knock them down. Yeah, I set them up to knock them down. So it's like, but that is change, right? That is change. Nothing stays the same. And so when you accept that change is inevitable, right? This is what Ovid does. So he has a story that makes you the reader, have a certain expectation, or you form a certain judgment, and it might be like, that thing's bad, right? And then he'll do a very similar story, or he'll continue the story with a different spin on it, and you'll change your mind about the original spin, right? You the author will change your mind, and then he'll change it again, and then he'll change it again, and then this is why I love Ovid, because he's always shifting, he's always changing, and he's changing. In this book about change, he's literally changing the reader's perspective too, which is, again, he's such a brilliant writer. So Ovid's Metamorphoses, one of the best things ever written, in my opinion. According to the ancient poet Ovid, Medusa starts as a very mortal and human woman. As she grows up, she grows ever more beautiful. His stories are, all the myths have adaptations. This is, again, a great thing about the myths of Greece and Rome. There's no one set right myth. The point of myth is that it's a device to tell a story, and it's a rhetorical device, right, to manipulate the reader or the listener or the viewer. And to get a certain point across, right? So myths become this rhetorical tool to prove a point or to set an example. And again, Ovid's so good at exploiting this. Anyway, her hair is of a rich colour, long and lustrous. So what I'm saying is, it's not that he was making stuff up, it's that he was choosing a narrative that suited his purpose and his storytelling best in the moment. Her skin flawless, her voice sweet. Like the ill-fated Helen, men fall at her feet. All men wish to marry her, and every man who sees her wishes to possess her, and sadly the gods too. So Medusa originally was this very, very desirable woman, but she attracted the wrong kind of attention. through no fault of her own, right? She was just blessed with beauty. I'm seeing a tie with Cancer and Libra here. The sea god Poseidon discovers the beautiful Medusa as she walks one day to the temple of Athena. The god doesn't wish to marry her, so he doesn't want to do the honourable thing. But he wants her, and instead he ahs her inside the sanctuary. He has his way with her involuntarily. She doesn't want it, right? I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at the actual word itself, because again, language translations. The word that the Greeks used for the word that we use that begins with R, which is SA, right? It's an aggressive thing. It's still aggressive, but the word that they use is the word that they use for gathering grain. So it actually means like seas. So, you know, the R is assumed, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's a tricky word to translate. But in this case, he actually does, right? So, yeah. Athena sees them defiling her temple. And while she has never had a good relationship with Poseidon, she becomes totally enraged that he would disrespect her so greatly. Athena's mad that Poseidon's disrespecting Athena. Doesn't really care so much about Medusa. Here we have to examine the actions of Athena. Does she presume that the act she has witnessed is not an R, but something they were both participating in? Does she know it was an R, yet is so angry to see this in her sacred sanctuary that both parties suffer anyway? Whatever the answer, Medusa is cursed by Athena. So Medusa has an injustice. You know, not only is she attacked by Poseidon, she's also cursed by Athena through no fault of her own. Athena curses her beauty and attractiveness to others. Medusa's beautiful hair has become a seething halo of deadly hissing snakes, and those who gaze upon her, she involuntarily turns to stone. Imagine being attacked and also never being able to look into another human face again, to find compassionate connection without killing the gazer. Medusa becomes a solitary monster, feared by all, and of course now a target for heroes to conquer. So again, she just keeps getting attacked by men, basically. Like, no compassion. When Perseus comes to fight her, he sees a forest of what he thinks are statues. And she's just defending herself, right? And now she can, right? Now she can defend herself against all these men who are coming to attack her. You know, she turns them to stone. So her, you know, Athena's basically weaponized her. She's cursed her, but she's also blessed her with a way to defend herself that she didn't have before. But this is also making her a target. When Perseus comes to fight her, he sees a forest of what he thinks are statues, but who are people whom Medusa has petrified. Seeing this landscape, he becomes afraid and he asks for Athena's advice. The sword of Perseus eventually beheads Medusa, and he is able to do this through Athena's reflective shield. By using the mirror shield to indirectly view her, he's then able to avoid her petrifying gaze and win the battle against her. This story highlights, I mean, he chose the battle, right? She was just sat there doing her own thing, like with the statues. He went there as the aggressor. Had he not gone there, she wouldn't have had anything to do with him. He picked a fight with her, basically, so that he could come off as a hero when she was just sat there minding her own business. Excuse me. I think I'm changing sides here. This story highlights injustice and the nature of truth, and in this version, Medusa is an innocent. In other versions, not so much. After all that has happened to her, she had a right to justice and certainly to defend herself. She was the victim here, and she wasn't asking for attention. And yet she became hunted by heroes because she would turn others to stone. In our modern society, we have huge problems with what justice is and who it is available to. Tell me about it, look at the news. Happily, the story of Medusa is being seen with new eyes and her mythos is being re-examined. Perhaps the most obvious example is from the sculptor Luciano Garbati, who created Medusa with the head of Perseus. This sculpture has been installed in the park facing the New York County Criminal Court, too many words, where Harvey Weinstein stood trial. The court handles many women's justice issues, including our cases. And then we're back to the snakes. And I was talking about this in other readings about what flips the switch, right? What turns someone from a reasonable, grounded person into somebody who is, like in one reading it came through as like you know, a vengeance, right? Into somebody who's out for blood because they're so angry. You know, what turns somebody who's reasonable into a monster? And are they right? You know, is the monster right in this case? I'm Libra, so I'm all about negotiations and peacekeeping. But I was talking in other readings about certain things. There's certain things that trigger me, or like, you know, certain situations that could happen that would make me, that would turn me into a monster. That you know, you feel that fury inside that would come out. And that's been a bit of a theme in this set of readings. So I don't really know what to make of that any further. But again, it feels like Aquarius, whatever's going on with Aquarius energy, and again, it doesn't have to be a personal reading. It feels like there is a big change and the right person will step up at the right time and they'll be fueled by anger, right? Again, it could be because with the right use of power, could be because there's a misuse of power. And the thing is, the universe sees this, right? The universe sets them up to knock them down when it comes to power. You know, it's like, I think power, people who are power hungry, people who are chasing fame and glory and money, are absolutely chasing the wrong things, right? What we should be chasing is the heart, right? Like heart, home, compassion, possibility for union. That's where real satisfaction is, where I think these like what they call megalomaniacs, I'm hearing megalomaniacs, I don't actually know the use of that word, but maybe Google it, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll Google it because my phone just pinged. Okay, fine. Megalomaniac. Someone who has an unnaturally strong wish for power and control, or thinks that they are much more important and powerful than they really are. Okay. Is it a mental illness? It's a mental illness. They have delusional fantasies, so it's like delusions of grandeur, that they are more relevant or important or powerful than they truly are. They have inflated self-esteem or overestimate their powers and beliefs. So yeah, so it's like somebody who's been, I mean, you can see it in society, right? The people who want this, right? The people who want the power for the wrong reasons. Like the universe sees it, the universe knows, right? And it's kind of like that thing about, you know, like setting them up to let them fall. It's like, let's see how, it's almost like, let's see how high they can build that stack of gold. Let's let them keep building. Let's let them keep building themselves up, that mountain of gold, higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And then when we swipe it out from, that was my dragon hand. So as some of you know, I've got a dragon guide. Again, I'm not saying it's an actual dragon. It's just energetically when I see certain things, you know, it comes through as like certain characters. So the dragon hand swiping the gold, and the higher they've built that gold, the longer they have to fall, and the more painful that fall's going to be. But the people who are already on the ground, right? They don't have far to fall at all. So it's like, who's going to be hurt the most? And I said this, it's the swipe. I said this, I think it was in the last Capricorn reading. So not November's reading, it could have been October or the bonus reading. This idea of kind of, because the dragon looks, again, very Plutonic to me. It's like the idea of Pluto moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. And I was saying I wouldn't like to be the 1% right now, because when the people on the lowest rung of the ladder, I don't know, it's like withdraw. So it's almost like, if you know, like secession of the plebs, can't even say it. It's like, oh, they're giving me Union Strike down on his luck. So Bon Jovi. Okay, so it's like the people at the top who've built their money and power on the backs of the little people, but on a lot of little people, right? On a lot of people. There's a lot of people under them when you're at the top of the pyramid. That bottom rung goes, you know, they all step back. It's kind of like, imagine, so a lot of stuff is coming through visually. So imagine a cheerleading pyramid. You know, sometimes you can get them 3 or 4 people high, you know, big cheerleading pyramid. If you imagine the people at the bottom of the pyramid just let go and step back, the people above are going to fall, right? And the person at the top is probably going to fall the hardest. So like a union, or a like secession of the plebs. So that is, so the plebs, you had the equestrian class and the what they call prey something. Words escaping me at the moment. So very similar to in the UK, right? We've got like the House of Lords and the House of Commons, or like in America, I think they have similar structures because they're all built upon the blueprints that they had in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So in ancient Rome, they had the elite class basically who had the Senate, but you had two Senates. You had the elite Senate, which was like the 1%, I guess, and then you had like the common Senate, which was more about, they were still elite, they were still equestrian class, but they were kind of not quite as rich, kind of like higher upper class and kind of like higher middle class, I guess, or higher upper class, lower upper class, that kind of thing. But it was meant to be that the lower Senate was more of the people. It's more like workers' rights, and I guess. And so the 1%, right, the posh Senate got too big for the boots, and too controlling and too greedy, and the rest of Rome thought, right, we've had enough. So they walked out. They said, no, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do any of the civic duties, all those services you rely on. We're just gonna go and sit on that mountain for a bit. We're gonna go and have a picnic on that mountain over there. Do you know what? You're so good at running the bloody country. You're so good at running Rome. Go ahead and do it. See how far you get without us. So, like poop was piling up in the streets. Nobody was doing any of the kind of menial labor tasks. A bit like COVID, right? When we were like, oh my God, the heroes are the street sweepers. The heroes are the delivery drivers, nurses. The people who don't normally get the value. So eventually they kind of like came groveling back, and the 1% came groveling, and they were like, okay, fine, we'll give you what you want. So it was basically like the first union strike in as far as I know of ancient Rome. So I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to think about. I'm going to leave it there. I'm excited for Pluto in Aquarius. I think we're going to see some big changes that have been a long time coming. We can already see it. We can already see the signs of it. Everything that I've been talking about since I first started doing readings of, the last grapples of power, and, society changing the mind from being something that's very consumerist driven and, corporate and like money minded, and to something that is a bit, instead of thinking about me, I'm going to be the one at the top of the pyramid. People are more willing to be part of the pyramid itself. Almost, it's like people are more willing to, not even a pyramid, let's change the shape. It's Aquarius is much more about, social justice, social equality, the good of the many and not the few. So I think we're going to see some really good, dramatic but good changes with Pluto in Aquarius. All right, I'm gonna go. You need one more song to close out the reading, to be fair. I've still got Pisces to do. The first jump is the hardest with your last song, so make sure I conveyed the message that needed to be conveyed. Whichever song is going to do the most good. Salt and Pepper and En Vogue. What a man. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man, what a mighty, mighty good man. Where are the good men? Where have all the good men gone, guys? Like, I want to take a minute or two and I love Salt and Pepper. Like, again, grew up listening to Salt and Pepper, so they're great. I want to take a minute or two and give much respect due to the man that has made a difference in my world. And although most men are hoes, he flows on the down low, because I never heard about him with another girl. But don't sweat it, just because it's just pathetic to let it get me involved in that he said, she said crowd. So this is somebody who's not listening to the drama and the not listening to the drama, basically, not listening to the he said, she said. It's like, that man has been good to me, is the way this is coming through. I know that ain't nobody perfect. I give props to those who deserve it, and believe me, y'all, he's worth it. I want Who are you talking about, Aquarius? Are they talking about you? What's going on here? So here's to the future, because we've got to go through the past. I finally found somebody that can make me laugh. You're so crazy. I think I want to have your baby. What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. So I don't know, if you've been looking for somebody, maybe you're finding them. I don't know. Or maybe somebody's giving you the credit you deserve. Yeah, I don't know. You've got leadership here. It's like the right person stepping into at the right time. And again, it feels like this big, feels like the universe is setting something up. It really, really does. So I think it's going to be a shift in power and the right look and right timing, the right person at the right place at the right time. But then it's like it's coming with all this heart home and compassion and possibility for union. So it's like a door's being opened. All right, I love that. Really nice reading for you, Aquarius. I'm sorry that it's been so long-winded. Take care of yourselves. Let me know if you want me to continue doing these readings again. Sometimes I really struggle if I just seem to be getting TV shows all the time. I'm like, why am I wasting my time? But yeah, just let me know. Keep in touch. I don't know. Take care and I'll see you again soon. Bye, Aquarius.